Sometimes the least sexy trade option is the smart one, and that's what we're going to tell you guys about
That's right.
today. We're going to give you 6 veterans that we think you should go buy in Dynasty Football. Based off their price, right now, they might not be the youngest players, but they're going to give you safe, reliable production for the next 2 to 3 years.
That's
They're
right.
just reliable buys, just guys who are going to be in the background giving you consistent points. Do us a massive favor, go ahead and smash that like button to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And I want you to comment below right now before we even start. Who's a vet in your mind that you think is a very good buy based off of market value? And if you want our rankings for Dynasty, one quarterback, Superflex, rookie rankings, if you want those rankings from us, from all your favorite content creators, go ahead and use our code LAND, L-A-N-D, at flockfantasy.com/land. That code's going to give you 30% off your membership. And if you choose the Mother Flocker tier, Badake and I are going to grade one of your teams on a live stream.
That's right, baby.
Let's get straight into this. 6 vets, 3 each.
Here
The
we go.
first vet that I think you should go out and buy, and we've been talking about this guy a lot, but I don't think anyone's actually brought a take on him yet, so I'm excited to do that for you guys today. That's Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, according to the community, is RB20. In my rankings, he's my RB18 in Dynasty Football. And Miles finally put it all together in 2022. We've always known that he was talented. You know, the year after Saquon Barkley left, you saw the talent at Penn State, comes into Philly, has a great rookie season, and then it's just kind of disappointment after disappointment. But in 2022, Miles Sanders, we finally saw him put it all together. He played a career high in games at 16. He hadn't played, I think, over 13 games or so before that, so he was able to stay healthy. Rushing attempts, he was 8th in the NFL. He was 5th in rushing yards, over 1,200, almost 1,300 rushing yards. He was 13th best in yards per attempt. He had the 7th most rushing touchdowns, the 7th most yards after contact, and the 11th most missed tackles forced. All that is with a minimum of 50 attempts. But he had more rushing attempts than Christian McCaffrey, Ken Walker, Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevens, and Tony Pollard. More rushing yards. The only people who had more rushing yards than Miles Sanders in season was Saquon, Chubb, Henry, Jacobs. That's the end of the list. A career high in games played, attempts, yards, touchdowns, all career highs. He proved that he can be a workhorse for a successful NFL offense, and he was rewarded for it. He got the bag from the Panthers, and opportunity should follow. In today's NFL, Badaki and I have talked about this a lot, but in today's NFL, it's very, very uncommon that a team is going to flesh out some cash for a veteran running back. It's just, we don't really see that anymore. But Miles got just that. He got a bag from the Panthers. He got the largest contract overall, the highest annual average, the most total guaranteed, and the most guaranteed at signing from any running back in what was a pretty good free agency running back class. It definitely felt that way to Badaki and I. And the Panthers made a strong statement on how they view Miles Sanders and what role he will play for their offense with that contract. And it's not even a 1-year deal. We're talking about a 4-year contract. Look, his only competition in that backfield right now, Chuba Hubbard. Okay, that's really it. I mean, we got Raheem Blackshear there, but it's Chuba Hubbard. And if you're a Chuba Hubbard guy, I'm sorry, but he couldn't even establish himself when Deonta Foreman was in that backfield. And now Deonta Foreman's RB3 on his own depth chart in Chicago. So, I mean, look, he is going to be the guy in this offense. And funnily enough, the Panthers' offense was bad last year, but the run game was really, really strong, and Miles should help that case even more. Like I said, their offense struggled, but the run game was a highlight. Improving offensive line. You have your franchise left tackle in Ike Ekwonu, your right tackle in Taylor Martin. Everything is kind of coming together for this offensive line. They were top 12 in rushing attempts per game, and they were top 10 in rushing yards per game. Now you add Bryce Young, who is a rookie. They are highly likely to establish the run early and often to take the pressure off of Bryce as he grows. So look, if you're looking to buy Miles Sanders, right now it's going to cost you around the 112 in the 2023 rookie draft. So who do you want at the 112? Like if you're a middle team, if you're trying to compete, like who's going to give you more production in these next 3 years? Zach Charbonnet with Ken Walker there, Devin A-Chain. I'm an A-Chain guy, but like, you know, if we're really wanting to look at guaranteed production, Miles Sanders is the most valuable guy there. Late first, 112 to the 201 to the 203 is kind of the area. And then players, this might be controversial, But I would prefer Miles Sanders over DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is younger, but he's not proven much. He's not been able to stay healthy on an even larger scale. How about Derrick Henry? If you can send him off, let's go ahead and get a little bit younger there. Kirk Cousins, if you're in Superflex and you don't need him as a quarterback 3 or 4. Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Jones, James Cook, Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, I'm a little bit on the edge with, but those are some names that you can start a conversation with. It's not the finishing line, it's the starting line. Go out and make some deals for Miles Sanders.
Yeah, Miles Sanders, like you kind of alluded to, really a guy that we both really liked and lands in a really good spot and gets a good contract. So a good investment for him. All right, my first veteran player you can go out and get right now that I'm really excited for, and I think we both also been talking about this guy a lot, but that's Jared Goff. Right, the community has him as QB 19. He's my QB 17 right now, and one of the reasons why he's a really solid buy in fantasy right now, especially if you're in this middle of the pack, whether you're contending, you need that one extra piece to contend. Jared Goff is that guy. Okay, I mean, this 2022 offense was incredible at the time, and I think it just gets even better in 2023. Okay, so Jared Goff this past year finished QB 10. And had a great supporting cast. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 7. Jamal Williams, RB 13. Now he's gone. DeAndre Swift, now he's gone. TJ Hawkinson, gone halfway through the year. Jameson Williams only played the last 6 games of the season, which in reality, he only caught 1 pass out of those last 6 games as well. But now you add in all the new pieces that this new 2023 Detroit Lions offense is going to look like. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown's there. Jahmyr Gibbs, a top 12 pick in the NFL draft. David Montgomery, you signed to a 3-year contract extension. Jameson Williams finally going to have the opportunity, well, after the 6-game suspension, right? And then Sam Laporta. There's so many other pieces on this team, like a Marvin Jones, et cetera, but this is a fantastic team. The Detroit Lions have one of the best offensive lines, have one of the, I would say now, best defenses in the NFL as well, drafting the way they drafted and the plays they picked up in free agency. So you're saying, well, Jared Goff doesn't have the contract extension. Well, that's exactly why I'm really trying to go get him now before that contract extension is given, because I am a massive believer that is what the Detroit Lions are going to do. They had multiple opportunities to go out and get another quarterback, whether that is hypothetically an Aaron Rodgers, a Derek Carr, a Jimmy G, whatever the case may be. They could have traded up in the NFL draft to go out and acquire a better quarterback, a younger quarterback. But what they did was that they went and drafted a running back in the first round. Like they invested in a different area, which means, in the way that I'm taking it, is that they're really believing in Jared Goff to take this team to the next step. I mean, all they had to do was beat the Packers in the last game of the season. They would have made the playoffs. That would have been a huge success there, right? So I think that is something really important to understand, and I believe this contract extension is going to come, whether that is a 2-year contract extension or a 3-year, or even if it's another year added on to Jared Goff's contract, then I think that is a massive success. So once again, a guy that I really love, a guy that I think you can also get on the low right now, I guess according to how this rookie draft did pan out. If you're willing to pay what you're willing to pay for to get Jared Goff here, what I'm willing to pay for is picks right now is 111 to the 112, right? That's a Zach Charbonnet, a Devin A. Chain, a Will Levis. I'd rather have Jared Goff with the production and the proven production that we've seen from him in the past compared to a Zach Charbonnet, who at the moment we expect to get a 50-50 workload, right? That's the highest ceiling you can think of. A Devin A. Chain, who I'm a little bit, you'll see a video on him coming about him for me a little bit sooner in the coming weeks, right? And players, Derrick Henry, I'm willing to move off of right now. A Chris Godwin that I'm also very shaky off, especially with this offense. What if you give Isaiah Pacheco in a late second, right? That's a guy that I'm also did another video on. And a guy that I also did a video on was Calvin Ridley this last week, saying that, I like him. Let's just see how he really pans out. I'm willing to sell him high at the right time. But yeah, those are some players. Once again, like Zach's was saying, this is a starting line, not the finish point. So get Jared Goff if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Goff, we've talked about this before. I'm with you. I mean, how does he fail?
Yeah.
The way he played last year and the offense getting better, how does he fail? It's hard to see him failing in this team, being in a position to draft Drake Mayer or Caleb Williams. All right, the second player that's a vet that I think you should go by, and no one's really talking about this player. I think we should be talking more about Dallas Goedert. We talk about A.J. Brown. We talk about Devonta Smith a lot. Where is the love for Dallas Goedert? I, a Washington fan, am going to show some love to an Eagle right here, right now. The community has him ranked as a tight end 7. I have him ranked as a tight end 5. The community already has a rookie tight end ranked ahead of Dallas Goedert. We're going to talk about that in a second. But look, he had a much better finish in 2022 than people realize. Finished as a tight end 12. That might look to a lot of people, but there's actually more to the story. It's not just he finished tight end 12, he played all games. No, he was injured in week 10 versus Washington, and he missed 5 games. So if you look at his form in 2022, in 12 games, he had over 700 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he finishes the tight end 12, just in 12 games. But his 17-game pace, what he was on track to do, he was on track to almost have 1,000 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, and on track to finish as the tight end 4 in fantasy football. If you look even deeper into his analytics in 2022, 15th in targets, 12th in receptions. Again, that makes sense when you consider he didn't play all 17 games, right? He was injured for a good portion of that. But let's look at every other analytic. His reception percentage, 5th, 83.5% of the targets he caught. Yards after catch per reception, he was 4th, almost 500 yards after, that's yards after catch overall. He was 4th in yards after catch overall. Yards per route run, 5th out of tight ends. Contested catch percentage, 4th out of tight ends. The 7th best drop rate. The 4th rated PFF tight end receiver. 5th in fantasy points per game. I mean, look at every metric that rates receiving tight ends. He's going to be top 5, top 6 in that category. He was really, really good. Again, on track to finish as the tight end 4. Top 5 in almost every analytic that you can look at. He had an incredible year, and the only reason he's undervalued right now is because he had that awkward face mask injury versus Washington in week 2. Week 10. And he's attached. I mean, what sort of offense would people rather him be on? He's attached to one of the most explosive offenses in the entire NFL. And there's a lot of security in this Eagles offense. Jalen Hurts, off a MVP-like season, got a bag. He'll be there long term. You're paired with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, so you're always going to be able to get open in coverage. You're going to have favorable matchups. You have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You're on the same team that just scored the 2nd most points per game in the NFL, so opportunities to score points will be there. And you're on the team that had the 9th most passing yards, so you're going to get an opportunity through the air. Look, we saw last year that everyone has a chance to eat in this offense. This is not a stingy offense. It's everyone gets a chance to eat. And based on his production and his age, I think he's undervalued. People are treating him like he's an older tight end, like he's as old as George Kittle. He's not as old as George Kittle. He's not as old as Travis Kelce, but he's been a solid, reliable tight end for the last couple of years since Ertz has left. Look, what are we paying for Dallas Goedert right now if you want to go acquire him? Well, right now it looks like the 112, late first, 112, early second is the price point. Now, in a tight end premium format, you guys are going to find that's going to be a little bit more steep. It might be the 109, whatever the case may be in your, however much that premium is in your format. But we are seeing Kincaid, Badake, let me know if I'm wrong, but pretty much consensus, he is going as the 110. So
yeah,
we are being told right now by the community that, and I love Kincaid. Like I was hyping up Kincaid before the draft, but we are telling the community, well, the community is telling us that a rookie who hasn't taken a single snap in the NFL is already more valuable than Dallas Goedert by 2 whole rookie picks. Look, I mean, you can make a case for Kincaid over Goedert. You can do that. I'm not going to be upset about it. But at this moment, I think if you're competing, Goedert is the no-brainer. Players I would send away. Look, if you can send away Dalton Kincaid and get something back for Dallas Goedert, that's a no-brainer. I would send away DeAndre Swift, Devon, James Cook, Cam Akers, Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, if you have the depth at running back. So, look, I just think Dallas Goedert's being a little bit disrespected. And historically, I understand the hype around Kincaid. I love him in that offense. I think he could be incredible. But history tells us that rookie tight ends are not going to hold value after 1 year. It's just unheard of, typically outside of maybe Pat Freiermuth. And even then, his value didn't spike. So, yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant on on betting on some of these, like if someone has Mayer over Goddard right now, it's like easy buy. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I definitely understand. I think the real conversation, I guess in the fantasy community should be, for me at least the way I've been seeing is like George Kittle or like the old Dalton Kincaid. I'm still taking Dallas Goedert just based off of this
Sure.
overall offense,
Sure.
But yeah, I love Dallas Goedert. I think we both love him. And like you said, a really great offense in 2022 and should continue. All right, my second vet player that you should be going out and buying, and this one, I don't know if it's controversial. I don't think it's controversial. I think it's pretty good in my opinion. Is DeAndre Hopkins, right? Community wide receiver 42. He's my wide receiver 40 right now, and this could be a really solid buy low with extreme upside opportunity right now because a lot of people are kind of just like, oh, I'm just trying to get DeAndre Hopkins off my team. I don't want him anymore. But I think it's the wrong move. I think if you want a veteran, if you need that extra piece. I know there's so many other question marks with Kyler Murray, which we'll get to a little bit later, but the history of success is there with DeAndre Hopkins in the years that we've seen him on the field. Since 2013, he has been a top 10, top 5, sometimes top 8 wide receiver at times outside of 2016 where he was injured, and also these last 2 years in 2021 and 2022, where he both missed 8 games in both of those seasons. Last year, obviously, remember, he was suspended, so there wasn't really injuries. And in 2021, he missed, 8 games with that injury. But from weeks 1 to 7, he was wide receiver 12, right? Like, he was on pace to definitely finish within a top 10 wide receiver finish, without a doubt, with, Kyler Murray. And another thing to add on is that we've always seen the success with random quarterbacks, really terrible quarterbacks. However, they peppered him with targets. However it happened, DeAndre Hopkins has been known for not dropping balls. I mean, I just watched actually an interview the other day was saying, what are you known for? He was like, my hands. I have one of the lowest drop percentages in the league, and he was really proud of that. And when you really think about the success he had with some of these quarterbacks, I'm not saying these quarterbacks are garbage, but like, these guys weren't good for his team. He was on one of the worst teams for a long time with the Houston Texans before Deshaun Watson came in. Matt Schaub, Case Keenum, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Shout out to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Mallett, Brian Hoyer, TJ Yates, Brandon Weeden, Brock Osweiler, Tom Savage. I mean, you're telling me that his best quarterbacks in the past in his whole career has been Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray, and this is his second half of his career, and he still has, in my opinion, 2 to 3 years, I would say maybe even 4 years to play in this league. I think we are selling DeAndre Hopkins too low right now. I think we are missing an opportunity to buy him right now if we really want to go out and acquire him, especially with this. Also, with the rumors coming in, right there, the rumors that, okay, we all know the Arizona Cardinals are in question right now. When is Kyler Murray going to come back? If he does come back week 1, this also helps my take for DeAndre Hopkins. If he comes back to week 6, then obviously it doesn't help the take, but still, this is more for 2 or 3 years down the road. And I think if you can get DeAndre Hopkins, who potentially could get traded with all the rumors going around, if a team wants to pick up that salary, he can go to the Bills with Josh Allen. He can go to the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. He can go to the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. The list of quarterback gets bigger, but it gets better, right? I mean, that is what's so exciting when you think of trying to acquire DeAndre Hopkins right now, and the price is low, right? If you're willing to go out and acquire DeAndre Hopkins right now, you can go and send a pick, in your rookie draft right now if you haven't done it, the 203, the 205 if you're a win now team, in the middle of the win now team. In that area, you're probably looking like at a Kendre Miller, a Josh Downs, a Jonathan Mingo, whatever the case may be. You can kind of, make that decision how you wish. But plays that I'm willing to trade away, according to the community right now, Mike Williams, I'm willing to get rid of. Keenan Allen, I'm willing to get rid of. A.J. Dillon is the same amount of value, according to the Keep Trade Cut. Once again, this is not, it's not the Bible here, but a starting point. A.J. Dillon is the same amount of value as DeAndre Hopkins right now, who we haven't seen much success of. And also, which one that's crazy is Alexander Madison. We are projecting Alexander Madison to be this guy, which is fair, but I still rather have DeAndre Hopkins over him. Once again, I'm not saying that you can get all these guys for that, but that's what the value is for the community. So I love to go out and try and get DeAndre Hopkins if I can.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on every one of those names except Alexander. I think I want to
stash him. You want to hold him?
I think I do, man. Like it's weird vibes in Minnesota. It really is.
I hear you.
And I think you and I view his potential a little bit differently. But I hear you. This is a good take. DeAndre Hopkins, he has been a reliable receiver. You're getting a discount on the age. And hey, if you buy him now and he is traded to one of those high-powered offenses, you're doing yourself a favor if you're winning right now in Dynasty. All right, the third player, which is a receiver that I'm going to bring to you guys today. And, I've been telling you guys to buy this veteran on the low all offseason. His price is just not changing. He's still so affordable. So I still think you should go get him. Brandon Cooks. The community has him ranked as the wide receiver 61. I have him ranked as my wide receiver 55. 61. We have a vast, vast history of proven production for Brandon Cooks. He is your meat and potatoes, not sexy, but getting you fantasy points, putting up numbers every single year type of wide receiver. Let's look at his entire career. 6 of 9 seasons, over 1,000 receiving yards. 6 of 9 seasons, 5 or more touchdowns. 6 of 9 seasons has finished as a wide receiver 20 or higher. 4 of 9 seasons, the wide receiver 15 or higher. And this is what blows my mind. His average targets per year over a 9-year career is 107.1. And we're talking about 9 years ago when he started his career. The NFL was completely different. It's much more pass happy now. And he's still over 9 seasons averaging over 107 targets. And on a per game basis in his entire career, he's averaging 7.3 targets in his whole career. All he does is put up numbers. In 2022, last year, let's look at what he did on this Texans team. Finished as a wide receiver 49. Ooh, that doesn't look very good. There's context. He had 11.2 points per game, and he only played 13 games. So he missed, quick math would say, was that 4 games? Missed
Something
4
like
games. So in 2022, in 13 games, he had 57 receptions, almost 700 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Finished as a wide receiver 49. What was his 17-game pace, though? He was on track, if you extrapolate that, to be the pace of 75 receptions, over 120 targets, 914 yards, and 4 touchdowns, on track to finish as a wide receiver 27. Now, that pace is even more impressive when you dive into how awful the Texans team was last year. Like, let's not forget how bad this Texans offense was. He put up those kind of numbers on track to finish as a wide receiver 27, over 122 targets, in an offense that was 30th in points per game, 31st in total yards per game. Okay, 25th in passing yards per game. Last in first downs, tied last for first downs. Their starting quarterback had the 29th best QBR. And speaking of that starting quarterback, Davis Mills had an awful year. 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, completing just over 61% of his passes, regressed in almost every category. I mean, guys, this Texans team literally started Jeff Driscoll for multiple games. Multiple games, this team decided to start Jeff Driscoll.
It's wild.
And somehow, Brandon Cooks still put up numbers. When he was healthy, you could still flex Brandon Cooks. That's insanity to me, considering how bad that offense was. Now, if you look at where he is in 2023, it's much, much brighter. Now, they say the grass is always greener on the other side. In this case, it's actually true. Huge change of scenery in 2023. We join a team that has Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. That's the same team that just put up the 4th most points per game in the NFL last year. And guess what? They have 163 vacated targets from Dalton Schultz and Noah Brown alone. There are 2 years left on Brandon Cooks' deals. Brandon Cooks should do exactly what he's done his entire career now that he's in Dallas, and that is put up numbers. So when you talk about wide receivers who are affordable, who are cheap, I mean, that's what we're looking at right now with Brandon Cooks. As far as draft capital, right now Keep Trade Cut is telling us the 212 is what you need to pay for him. So 212. I mean, is there a wide receiver at the end of the second that you think is going to put up more numbers in the next couple of years? But you can probably get him in a lot of leagues for an early third, 301, 302, 303, somewhere in that area. And then if you're looking to send away players, if you're a win now team, Alec Pierce, Isaiah Likely, Tyler Algier, Alan Lazard, Nico Collins, those are all names that you could try and start a conversation around. I mean, if a team has Brandon Cooks and they're not competing, why would they want Cooks over Alec Pierce or Likely or Algier, right? So conversations to start around, but Brandon Cooks is going to put up numbers in this offense in Dallas in 2023.
Yeah, without a doubt. Love Brandon Cooks. Love everything that he can do, especially in Dallas. Let's see what happens. All right, I got about 4 minutes. I think I can do this taking 4 minutes here. Let's see how we can go. The last player on this list for me, and that is Alvin Kamara. Once again, this may be controversial, but hear me out. RB 35 on the season, in the community, but he's also my RB 30. Okay, and look, I know we're bringing reliable takes here, but if you really look into Alvin Kamara and what he has done in the past, he has always been reliable. He has always been this guy that he's going to bring you fantasy success. It just depends on what's going to happen in the 2-3 years to come, right? If we look at the history and we look at what he has done in the past, 5-6 years, from 2017 to 2021, he has been a top 10 running back. 2017, RB3, third in targets. 2018, fourth. RB4, fourth in targets. 2019, RB9, fourth in targets. 2020, RB1, second in targets. 2021, RB8, sixth in targets. Even with the 2 bad years in 2022, RB16, and he was fifth in targets. He's still getting the work in the air, and I think that is the biggest thing. Now, the biggest question mark and concern is the decline of snap percentages that we've seen that DynastyLand has taken away. Ever since Sean Payton has left his team, Alvin Kamara has struggled, and that's been the biggest thing for Alvin Kamara, right? So in 2021, his snap percentages was 77.4%, and in 2025, he goes down to 65.4. That's nearly over 10% less than what he was getting the year before. And that's not even me going into the percentage of where he was been a top 5 running back, right? So we've only seen those past 2 years, which I think is crucial, which really hurt Alvin Kamara. And if he does get traded, I think that's also a big thing, because if he does get traded, I think no matter if he goes to the Bills, if he goes to the Chiefs, I mean, we've seen all the rumors of Alvin Kamara potentially getting traded. Even with the 6-game suspension, he is going to have the opportunity on the ground and in the air without a doubt, and they're going to run him to the ground because that's exactly what they want. Kind of like what they're doing with CMC right now, right? If you really think about it. Not only that, you're saying, well, but he's missing some time. No, he hasn't missed time. Alvin Kamara has missed 10 games out of the 88 games he's played in the last 6 years. He's not an injury-prone running back. He misses 1 or 2 games. Maybe he has a stinger. He hurt his ankle for 1 game, but he always comes back and he puts up ridiculous numbers. And I think that is exactly what we need to do and be focused on, and not saying, oh, it's the decline. It's not the decline of Alvin Kamara. It's the misuse of DynastyLand that we've been seeing with Alvin Kamara. And once again, if he does get traded, I think we can see him go right back to that RB5 type of finish. So just under a minute left here. So players that I'm willing to trade away for Alvin Kamara. I've seen trades for Alvin Kamara as somebody in our league send a mid-third to acquire Alvin Kamara, especially with the question marks of suspension. I'm willing to do that. So the 205 or later, according to the community, you can do. Players, once again, Keenan Allen, A.J. Dillon, Mike Williams, and a Sam Howell I'm willing to trade away right now in a risky move for Alvin Kamara. And once again, I'm playing for the future. I'm playing hopefully in the next 2-3 years. If he does get traded to, once again, the Bills, the Chiefs, sure, we can see something special happen with Alvin Kamara. So it is a risky trade, but he is reliable. DynastyLand needs to use him the right way.
I think because of Kendre Miller, I'm kind of out. But if he's traded, let's see. But yeah. I mean, I agree with most of your takes. I can't get on board with that one, but that's why we're all different. Do us a massive favor, guys. Go ahead and drop a like on the video to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content, and we'll see you in the next one. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.